So I'm going to ask the president of the congregation now, Elliot Cohen, who is going to open up our program. And then from that point on, I will make sure that the mayor of our city, Mr. Come to the synagogue, so I am on the greeted me with a warm family. And all of you have come here today to come to witness something which is deeper than meets the eye. Because I'm a very emotional person, I'm a very spiritual person, it means a lot to me that I can be with you today. And it is not my day, it's God's day. God is in charge. We are just here sort of like sojourners. We do our best, the way we feel is the best, and beyond that we do not know what the consequences are. But everybody will do what they can do. If our life is unraveled and we look through what we could have done better, or we shouldn't have done at all, because we have in Hebrew a saying, "Shef ve'al taseh." Sit down and do nothing, that may be the best we can do. Singing the anthem of my best friends, your brothers here, so it's a meaningful thing. Elliot, please.
Shalom, our gala, building rededication and tribute to Rabbi Henry Okolica. But before I continue, I would like to thank all of you for attending today, some from across the country, from across the ocean, and making this event a huge success. Most of all, I'd like to thank their invaluable help in all our efforts. If not for them, this event has round of applause. Please. Also, my thanks to the Sisterhood for all their years of ongoing faith. Last but not least, my heartfelt thanks goes to Rabbi and Mrs. Henry Okolica for 42 years of devoted spiritual and civic service to the city of New Britain and the surrounding areas, state of Connecticut, and the United States of America. And with that being said, let me introduce Rabbi Henry Okolica.
Let us rise for a moment, please. Almighty God, Avinu Shebashamayim, Sur Yisrael, come here for a moment of remembrance. We have grown up in the city of New Britain. We have made here our lives, our futures, found here our wives, our husbands, our children, and we come here today to give thanks to God. I, for myself and Mrs. Okolica, my children, we have come here together, coming from England, from Cincinnati, from Brooklyn, and from Muncie, New York. Oh God, protect my family, protect my community, protect my friends, protect the United States of America today as we are standing together for freedom, for liberty, for justice against an unseen enemy, brutal and not to be seen, but someday the world will see that America again stood up for life and for eternity and for democracy. Thank you, God, give us life and happiness and joy, and bless each and every one who has come here today. And I welcome you. And let us now stand here and sing together a song of hope, Atikva. And you have the words on your program. And I will lead you. Oh, Lord, ourselves to our country, to our nation, the United States of America. Oh,
say, can you see by the dawn's early light, or so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, those are stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we won, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bursting in air, they grew through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let us be seated, please. Our principal speaker is on her way.
Good afternoon. It's a real privilege to share this ceremony with you and to be with you today. And I'm going to read to you not all, but part of the congressional record statement that I submitted on behalf of this occasion and will lead for the congregation. Mrs. Johnson of Connecticut. Mr. Speaker, I rise to acknowledge the 76th anniversary of Congregation Hebron Israel in New Britain and the achievements of my dear friend, Rabbi Okolica, who is celebrating 42 years of dedicated service to the congregation. I congratulate Rabbi Okolica, the congregation, and all their friends. We're proud of their dedication and grateful for their many decades of service to our community, and acknowledge with gratitude their successful refurbishment of their beloved temple, one of our city's landmarks. It was 76 years ago that Governor John Trumbull laid the cornerstone of 76 Winter Street. Since that time, this temple has been a center of rich spiritual devotion and always encouraged and recognized service to the community. The congregation became the first in the greater Hartford area to make religious education available to students regardless of their financial circumstances, and over many years provided an environment of spiritual growth that gave our city valued leaders. Perhaps the most famous was Governor Abraham Rivercroft. Governor Rivercroft, whose father was one of the early presidents of this temple, And he became, as you well know, the first Jewish governor of the state of Connecticut, a renowned and strong voice in the United States Senate, and then secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, as we call it now, in those days, the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, an extraordinarily important position in a large and growing, changing nation. Since 1960, Rabbi Okolica has been devoted to his faith, his congregation, and to being a helping hand for countless people in our community and across the state. For 40 years, Rabbi Okolica hosted the television show Jewish Life, welcoming as his guests all religious persuasions on a wide variety of topics. The conversations reflected his thoughtful, generous character, and he would conclude each broadcast with a plea to viewers to be generous in their contributions and mindful of those less fortunate. I am proud to share my hometown the dramatic renovation of your temple with this ceremony. This special event will be more than a celebration for the congregation history of New Britain, where the founders of this temple represent some of New Britain's most active citizens and friends of the community. Many came to America in search of relief for persecution in their native lands, in Eastern Europe and Russia. These highly learned individuals, many of whom studied in acclaimed Talmudic schools throughout Russia, Poland, and Lithuania. One such early New Britain resident was Benjamin Marholin, a grocery store owner and a man of culture who was the uncle of celebrated American composer Irving Berlin. Another was Jonas Goldsmith, whose daughter Anna, would become one of the organizers of the New Britain chapter of Hadassah. Dr. Morris Dunn became a tireless advocate on behalf of Zionism, helping New Britain to become one of the most active centers of Zionism in the nation. Anniversaries and the renovation of their spiritual home. And I ask that the House join me in wishing them the very best in their future. It has been a great privilege to know and represent so many in this congregation. And I am particularly thrilled that you were able to refurbish your temple with the help of a very enlightened state program that focused on the need of so many of our churches for help in structurally rehabilitating their sanctuaries, because this temple is a landmark in our town, and the spiritual strength that you and your congregations over time have developed have made us in New Britain a stronger community for many generations. I also want to say that Rabbi Okolica has been a wonderful influence in my life and a source of spiritual strength for me year after year. I always gain from talking with him. He always gives me perspective. And his love and dedication to others is simply profound, powerful, and immense. And I thank him for that.
Count Judaism by numbers. We count by psukim and verses. But their great-grandchildren are here too. Those who make the noises are my great-grandchildren. And I like these noises. And that's really something that we can see. So here we are. Mayor, will you be kind enough to do us your
On November 14th, 1995, I was sworn in as New Britain's 37th mayor. And during my inaugural speech, I choked up a little bit. And needless to say, standing right alongside me was Rabbi Okolica, who was also choked up. And he said to me at that time, Rabbi, I hope you remember, you just told my story. And as I stand before you as the 37th mayor, I just want to say welcome home. Much has changed. institution is bigger and better than ever. I can truly feel the love today. I was reminiscing, and one of the things I need to get off my chest is the fact that I married my mother's godchild, and my mother's godchild lived for many years right next door. So as I think about where it was that I landed in New Britain, Connecticut, I lived on Elm Street. You've heard the story before. In one room with my parents sleeping in chairs and my siblings sleeping in a bed with me. There was a Sunday ritual. That Sunday ritual was what we all waited for, was the cream-filled donuts at Cousins Bakery. And I know this is a work-class neighborhood, but as we went to the Owl Market and we're speaking remember the junkyard there and a few other things, we did discover this, and needless to say, I moved to Broad Street, but I also found a very, very strong connection to this great neighborhood, as we spent many a Sunday afternoon right next door. Our families, the Slavlaks and the Toshkovskys, were very, very close from the onset, and between the rye bread and the creamy donuts, the kids would have a great time, and not realize spiritual, devout, and outstanding leader for our entire community. And ladies and gentlemen, I think back to a couple of years when he showed up at the office and he said to me, Mayor, we need some money. The roof is leaking. And I said to him, Rabbi, church and state, did you ever hear of it? He didn't want to know. He was a man on a mission. And ladies and gentlemen, here we are celebrating this great restoration and this great shepherding, this great cleric, this great man of God that has led this congregation for the last 42 years. So I can't tell you I was here 76 years ago, but I can tell you that Rabbi, I was here 42 years ago, probably right next door, as you were having your services, and I've been a very, very strong supporter of the rabbis. Needless to say, he's also one of our police commission chaplains. Needless to say, that at every reverence ceremony we have in this great city of ours, the rabbi is there. So he's not only in his synagogue to find, he really is one of these people who thought outside the box before it became fashionable and became totally involved in his community, and not only in his synagogue and his sheep that he so gently puts together. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the rabbis for dropping in on me every once in a while to let me know what it is that I'm doing wrong. And every once in a while they'll tell me a few things that I've done right, which make me feel pretty good. But it truly is, it doesn't matter how we got here. It does matter that we're here. We all took different journeys. I understand again, and I need to say welcome home to many, many of you. And at this time I would like to read a proclamation. And this is from the Office of the Mayor, City of New Britain Proclamation. Whereas in the 76 years ago, the cornerstone of the congregation of Temperate Israel was laid at its present location at 76 Winter Street. And on Sunday, October 13, 2002, the congregation will celebrate its 76th anniversary. And whereas, in its beginning, the congregation has been a vital part of the community and has hosted a television program with Jewish life for the past 40 years and has visited high schools and colleges to interpret Judaic and American values to young people. And whereas, again, I congratulate.
Dr. Richard God and his wife. She made absolutely sure that she would be here on the stage. I said, how can you deny a woman's request? So here we are. And now, the president of Central Connecticut State University, Dr. Judd.
Rabbi, this is a team effort. I, like the speakers who have preceded me, am extraordinarily proud, indeed consider it a humble and great privilege to have the honor of speaking at the rededication of this beautiful synagogue. And that also honors my dear friend and colleague for over 30 years, Rabbi Henry Okolica. I'm basically going to speak about the rabbi, so please excuse me if I don't speak about the history of this place, because he is the history of this place. Rabbi Okolica is a man consumed with excellence in everything he has ever done, as teacher, as servant to his congregation, to his community, to his university, CCSU, and to his many friends, of which I am but one. He has never forgotten about the responsibilities of contributing to the larger good of his fellow human beings. In recondite matters as well as in simple ones, opportunities for ignoring what is going around us are obvious to even the most casual observer. There is no idea more congenial to the first few years of the 21st century than the one that suggests we are living in an epoch unique in world history. The changes that the world has seen in the past few years in Eastern Europe and the tumultuous events of September 11, 2001 abide few comparisons. These events speak eloquently to the global nature of change that affects each one of us in untold ways. Moreover, they speak to this rabbi's work as a universalist, his work for peace, for shalom, over many years, has had a profound effect upon me. Excellence and quality are not catchphrases for your rabbi, or with any endeavor you have been involved with, particularly your rabbinate. The qualities of teachers drive his aspirations in the work he daily continues to do, and at his tender age, it is amazement and gift. His religious expressions have articulated not only how this congregation has been introduced to the general and specialized knowledge of Judaism, but also to increasing their interest in its intellectual and spiritual bases. As teacher, he has enriched the cultural lives of all who know him. He has developed in all of us a fostering of commitment to ethical, intellectual, social values, and the encouragement in the pursuit of loving life. Rabbi Okolica is a treasure. Not only to New Britain is he a treasure, but also a treasure of our world. The beaming streams of light from his eminence have brightened every life he has touched, and the beams of light from him will continue to enlighten the darkness of hate and mistrust in our humanity. Rabbi, God bless you.
I want to add my congratulations to Rabbi Okolica and to the congregation on the successful restoration of your historic synagogue. The Jewish ledger said that Rabbi Okolica envisioned this event as bringing people together to remember the glorious history of New Britain and to renew friendships. In that vein, I would like to remember two humanitarians who I admired and who were close friends of the rabbi. The Reverend Thomas Fletcher, rector of St. Mark's Episcopal Church, and Dr. Egmont Orbach, well-known New Britain physician. These two intellectuals joined the rabbi and others in the city in recognizing that there is good in all of humankind and that all have equal rights, and they worked tirelessly for those tenets. Though long gone, I know they are here with us today as we recognize Rabbi Okolica for his continued good work, which sets a tone for us all. My parents lived next door to an Orthodox rabbi for 40 years in Maryland. Some years ago, when my father, who was a Southern Baptist, became terminally ill and while he was hospitalized, the rabbi would regularly visit him. One day while I was visiting my father in the hospital, a nurse came in and said to my father, "Your rabbi is here." In that same spirit, I want you to know, Rabbi Okolica, you are Dick's and my rabbi.
With a congregation like that, we need more members. I want to recognize Mr. Paul Berther from Connecticut Historic Commission, who helped us when we were in need. And you can imagine that would be a rabbi without a rebel. So what, let's see what you have here. She's shy too. So would you mind to come and sit in the kindergarten? You know what kindergarten means, Dr. John? As of the latest count, Steffi, you know, your dad and I are good friends, you know that. But the latest count, and we are adding on more, because we have so far 49 great-grandchildren. So the Jewish people will keep on living, believe me. You know, when I escaped Hitler, I said, one thing you will not do. You will never destroy the Jewish people. Why? Because we are God's people. And then when we came to the United States, my wife and I, it was here 2 years before, she really saved my life. Without her, I would have never come to the United States. Because we were marked for death. And could you imagine that $10,000 could save a life? $10,000. That's what they wanted, to be deposited at an American bank to guarantee that I would not become a burden to the United States. Well, I can tell you, I always remember that. Don't become a burden, but always be a helper, and always raise up. Don't put down, raise up. So I did my little bit through the years to make America just a better place to live in. And I never had any problems, and I have to say this just in passing. When I was rabbi at Daytona Beach, there was a Mary McLeod Bethune, a black lady. She founded Bethune-Cookman College. And I had a good friend there by the name of Ada Zeiger, and we went to really try to help the black college. And I met her and she said to me, Rabbi, could you do me a favor? I said, if I can. And that Eleanor Roosevelt is coming to town, she's on our committee. Would you interview her on the radio in Daytona Beach and ask the people to give us some money so we can build our college? So I still have the recording, by the way, Eleanor Roosevelt and I appealing to the American people to help the black people have a college and a university. And so, you know, so whenever I asked my friend, said, do you know who Mary McLeod Bethune was? Do you know Mary McLeod Bethune? She was born a slave, and she became a president of the college. You see, you weren't born a slave, Dr. Judd, and you became the president of the college. So we are really happy at this point on. If I remember today, looking back, and I wanted to share this with you, it's impossible for me to tell you how I feel at this very moment. I cannot find the proper words to tell you how I feel. Because when I look back, you know, there's my great-granddaughter, the little one over there, her name is Netta. You know, she can't speak yet, but she makes plenty of noise. And I can tell you, they came direct from New York, little Netta. She wanted to be here, but someday her father can tell her that we were together. That is, to me, the important point. Helping others, but not forgetting your own. At times we are so occupied with other people, we don't know we have family. I never forgot my family. That's important. And I feel also, when I introduce the next speaker, who is my son, and I don't know what he had prepared. They all are shy to speak about their parents, I guess. But my son he graduated with a master's from Trinity College. I insisted he go and make his master's, and he's a rabbi, and now he is I think, a prominent businessman in New York. Right, Dan?
Thank you for the opportunity of greeting you all this afternoon. It's a great pleasure to give my blessings on behalf of my wife, my family, my grandchildren today. As my father said, it's hard for him to express his thoughts. Equally, it's difficult for me to express my thoughts as well on behalf of myself and my family. My father has been involved in community service, I guess, since the day I knew him. And he hasn't stopped. And I particularly admire, even at his age, and my mother's age, their vigor, their desire, their insistence on helping and opening their home to the entire community. There's such a thing as a celestial map. And on this celestial map, there appears every city and every grouping of humanity. Now this celestial map does not show houses, doesn't show hydroelectric dams, doesn't show museums. So what does this map show? What does this heavenly map show? This heavenly map shows a celestial globe. It shows lights. These lights are generated by us on this earth, by the good deeds that we do, by the charity that we do, by the friendliness we have for our fellow man, for our neighbors. You could have a large city, one of the great cities of the world. You may not see a light bulb in heaven. It doesn't glow. It's not charity. It's not humanity. Small city, where people are loving, where people show consideration for each other. There's an intense celestial glow, tremendous light. My feeling that New Britain is one of the great cities on the celestial map of God. I think the purpose of dedicating and rededicating the synagogue is to make sure that the synagogue and New Britain and its leaders and its representatives be a beacon of light for the state, for the community, and mankind. And hence I feel it is very fitting that the state of Connecticut, its representatives, have assisted us. And that word means joy, pleasure, delight from their children, from their grandchildren, grandchildren, for their grandchildren. Equally, I would like to thank the community of New Britain, the people here in particular, but everybody else who's really shown a tremendous amount of hospitality to my parents, have been very good to them. On behalf of my immediate family, I would like to thank you all. God bless you.
We have the pleasure to welcome Congressman Maloney. Would you kindly come up?
Rabbi Okolica, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a pleasure to be with you on this wonderful occasion as you rededicate this synagogue and as you celebrate 76 years at 76 Winter Street, 3 generations. It has been my pleasure and honor to work very closely with the synagogues and congregations in the 5th Congressional District. And I look forward to the opportunity to be of service to you.
I don't know, is Sam Panovich here? Oh, hi. By the way, when you went through school, you know a rabbi? You have a rabbi? All right, okay. I know when Sam was a little boy, and he started out at the Temple of the Israel. Then I engaged his mother to teach Sunday school, so she became cousin, I was sure. And Sam, Panovich, by the way, is the pastor of Concord. Husband will know Concord. All of a sudden he wanted out to go to yeshivas and yeshivas. You know, after I sent him off to the yeshiva, Dr. John, he's already sitting for 30 years learning. And he still says I don't know enough. All right. I understand. And you said the only reason he's here is because I wanted him to very shy person. By the way, you know, Sam is married, he has 12 children, God bless them. And now he's waiting for the first wedding to be in his family. I give him a rock, I give him a blessing. But you know what it is? He wants to have children, that should marry children like he is. You say now, in our world it's not so easy. But with the doctors of Yiddish to the feeling I couldn't shit them. Time is up. Okay. So, all right, Sam. I'm glad you are here today, believe me, and I feel proud that you are here.
Rabbi, I'm going to hold you 100% to that blessing from marrying one to my daughter.
All right.
All the matters.
I'm going to say special telling. You know, I say special prayers. I'm very often short. I invite them to the wedding.
When thinking how to express a few words of appreciation to the Rabbi and Mrs. Okolica for the task, how could I possibly express truly what my appreciation is? Totally impossible. First of all the years they spent here at the synagogue, 42 years, my family were members for approximately the first quarter of that time. As the Rabbi mentioned, the initial drive to recruit members, we were probably amongst the first. I must have been at that time 7 years old when we came to the synagogue. And we were here, we must have left when I was about 19. My parents moved out of town, but I continued a connection with Rabbi Okolica, and therefore the synagogue also. So there's really only a little bit I can say. And the only way I can say it is by relating some of the experiences I had synagogue and with the rabbi. So first of all, even though the rabbi just made sure to ascertain that the program is correct, that it says rabbi over here, but I think it's okay for everyone to put their thumb over the word rabbi, because I'm not here to speak like a rabbi. I'm here to speak like a hometown boy. Even though I wasn't born here, we moved here, I was around 2 or 3. All of my formative years were here in New Britain. I went to all the local schools, Stanley Home Schools, George Washington Junior High School, Pulaski Senior High School, class of 71. My sister went there. So when I think of New Britain, I think of my hometown. With a nostalgia when I think about it. My relationship to the synagogue and to the rabbi really went through 2 very distinct phases. The first phase was from when I first entered until, say, around the age of 18. I excelled in cutting classes. I excelled in, if you'll go downstairs by the food down there, you'll see the stage. We used to run behind the stage and play. We made a lot of sorrows, a lot of problems with the teachers. This really typifies the first stage. Came time for my bar mitzvah. I studied a little bit more. Reverend Prager was the main teacher. He was rest in peace. Came after school a couple times a week. My bar mitzvah was not a very spiritual.
As a Talmid Chacham, he is a real scholar, but he does not want to admit that he knows much. He knows more than most rabbis will never know. Some human being raised here in New Britain. So we can take credit. New Britain. We have done something. People asked me once, and I have to share this just for a moment because we are running out of time. I had a rabbi, his name was Dr. Breuer, Dr. Raphael Breuer. He was my idol because he was a powerful orator. When he spoke, you didn't hear the words, you saw them. You know, Dr. John, you know what I mean? Some people speak and you can see what they are saying, and others you just hear. So he was in that community for 25 years, my hometown in Germany. And once he came back from a vacation, they said to him, Dr. Breuer, you are here for 25 years, what did you accomplish? And he made a statement that is almost, I shouldn't even say it. He said, in 25 years I didn't become like the people who live here. That I thought was a terrible statement to make, but he wanted to say, I could have become a Reform rabbi, I could have become a liberal rabbi, but I remained an Orthodox rabbi. This is what I accomplished here, in spite of what my surroundings would have asked me to be. Be more liberal, be more liberal. And I always said, I like to listen what God has to say. And so that makes me very conservative. Story to remember my mentor. But I can tell you the 42 years I've lived here in New Britain has enriched my life and my life. People said to me, what are you going to do now? What's the encore? What are you going to do now? I said, I will continue to go to Central Connecticut State University. And he always meets me, my good friend Dr. John, I'll be there. And I go to the Central, I go up to the Veterans Home and Hospital to the poor soldiers that I have never forgotten, the people who fought for us, for our freedom. I go there every week to see these men who are so downtrodden. And I go to the hospital for special care because there are people there sometimes they don't know what to do. I walk in there.
Just say to the rabbi, Rabbi Henry Okolica, żeby się żył 150 lat. My colleague, John Garagosian, State Representative, and I have a citation on behalf of the whole New Britain delegation, state delegation, to first the to not only the rabbi, but the congregation and the board of trustees. So, Mr. President, Mr. President. State of Connecticut General Assembly official citation, introduced by the written state legislature. Yet unborn generations who serve as a spiritual leading for all who enter therein. May the joy of this revelation far into the future. Signed to good success on this 13th day of October 2002 at the State Capitol. And it's officially signed and bears the official gold seal of the state. Now, just one very short word. Not too long ago, I ran into Rabbi Okolica when we were on our way to a ceremony.
My wife said she has a spokeswoman, Naomi in Futterfass. She's my oldest child. So Naomi, would you mind to come up and take care of
Many more years to come.
my daughter Naomi. She lives in London, England, and she is the spokeswoman for a certain district in North London of the Neshei Chabad. Those who know what I mean, I can't explain it any further. So Naomi, please.
I thank the Almighty that I have the good fortune to be with my parents today, sharing with them in this historic occasion. It is a great blessing that my father has been able to serve this community for the past 42 years. Every week, the Jewish people read from a different portion of the Torah, the Bible. Every part of the Bible has something in it that we can apply to ourselves and our everyday lives. This coming week, we read the portion of the Bible which is called Lech Lecha. God said to Abraham, "Go from your land, your birthplace, and from your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you." God further says that he will make Abraham into a great nation, that he will bless him and make Abraham's name great. We can make a comparison between my father's life and the events described in the Bible. My father had to leave Europe during World War II because of Hitler. He found refuge here in America. He married my mother. They moved around, raised a family. It wasn't so easy to come to a new country, learn a new language and new ways. As you know, our family moved to New Britain 42 years ago, just before I married and moved to England. My parents have always been exceedingly grateful that they were able to come to this country and rebuild their lives. They had to leave all that was familiar to them, their families, and in my mother's case, she never saw them again. Ever since I was a very small child, I remember my father saying that we have to be grateful to this wonderful country for all the opportunities they have given us to live in freedom as Jewish people, able to practice our religion without fear. My father always taught us that we must give back. We must show our gratitude. My father has always given of himself to the communities he lived in, wherever he lived. He never made a difference between people, no matter their creed or color. He was always available. I remember going with him on his regular hospital visits. He always made these visits a few times a week. Before he had a car, I used to sit in his basket over the handlebars. Then I would wait in the hospital waiting room to come out. He always took a long time. Sometimes I thought he had gotten sick up there and they were keeping him. People knew where to come if they needed help, because my father never turned anyone away. The door was always open, the telephone was always answered. Like our forefather, Abraham, who was renowned for his hospitality and kindness, my father never turned and never turns anyone away. Through radio and television, he acquainted the American people with Jewish life and the Jewish people. I have spoken about him as a caring community person. Sometimes people who are so involved with the public don't have too much time for their families. That has never been the case with my father. He has been and is totally devoted to his children. Over the years, I have had the pleasure to bring my children back to visit my parents here in New Britain. We have many fond memories, and now my grandchildren come to visit their great-grandparents here in New Britain. I wish my parents continued good health and that my father should be able to carry on serving the community here for many more years. And I hope that this beautiful synagogue will be sought after by the Jewish community and will be used for many good things. And I pray that this wonderful country will always be free and continue to give people the opportunity to build their lives and their families as my parents have. Thank you.
Whatever comes.
He said, Manu Ra Hamakom Hazeh, how awesome is this place. The synagogue is filled with the awesomeness of the years and years and people who pray.
And he's going to give us his thoughts. Rabbi Shlomo Yaffe. I'm happy he's here. He's an eloquent speaker. And there is our Bishop of Okolica. All right,
I feel somewhat like the shofar at the end of Yom Kippur. Besides all the sublime messages, it also tells us that soon we're going to be able to eat. That being said, we just read the portion of the Torah dealing with Noah and the ark, and the question is, of course, obvious. If Noah got all the animals upon the face of the earth into that ark, even if it was 450 feet long, you can't fit them all in. So clearly, there was a suspension of the order of nature over here. Clearly, it was miraculous. So the question is, if God needs to do a miracle anyways, why bother poor Noah to work for 100 years? It's even longer than Rabbi Okolica has been working, but we anticipate that he will do so for 100 years. And why bother him to work for 100 years building an ark? Why not just do a miracle with a shoebox? And the answer is that God sees all our efforts, all the efforts of humanity as a partnership. When we do everything that is within our power, with the power and the strength and the wisdom that God gives us, then God says, okay, you've done everything you can. No, I'm going to finish the job. I'm going to get everything into that ark. I think there is no question that this synagogue is such an ark because we know the Hebrew word, the Baal Shem Tov, tells us that the Hebrew word teva, which means ark, also means a word. Because the words of Torah, the words of prayer, the words of the rabbi of this community have functioned as an ark to sail through the storms of life for so many. And that being the case, this is an ark that Rabbi and Rebbetzin Okolica and the people of this shul, against all odds, have continued to build and to maintain, and we are in it, renovated, with a beautiful crowd here. And the only thing that we need to understand, and this is the blessing that we have to invoke upon ourselves, is that everyone here do everything that they can within their power to continue this ark, this place of refuge for holiness, for goodness, and for all the things that it is, and give Rabbi Okolica and Rebbetzin Okolica every possible assistance in this way. And I would like to add to what Rabbi Okolica said. He talked about the idea of not retiring. It's well known, in fact, someone who was my mentor and who was Rabbi Okolica merited to be very close to, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, at the age of 70, was asked, his good friends from outside the movement, those within the movement knew better, asked him to slow down a little bit. He's already 70. He says, no, retirement is not a Jewish idea. Because just when we acquire the skills, just when we acquire the abilities and the knowledge to really accomplish someone, we should stop. I've not even begun. And indeed, of the 4,000 institutions that he founded throughout the world, about 3,700 of them were founded after he was 70, and most of them after he was 80. And I think Rabbi Okolica has taken a very good page from this book, and he has only just reached his strength and his power and his knowledge and his ability to lead. Let us all assist him to continue in doing so, to continue to make this place a beacon of light, not just to the New Britain area, but to the whole community. And with the blessings that emanate from here, let God indeed bless our country and Israel and all the storms that we face in the coming days. Rabbi Okolica, may God bless you and your shul and your family for now and forever.
You are cordially invited, the ones who have made reservations for the repast or whatever it serves, because it's limited. And on Passover we say, "Kodif and Yeshua, you are hungry, we have to feed you." That's what we should know. And we appreciate that you wanted to be with us. You want to bench together. Downstairs is a gentleman by the name of Charlie Clark. And he said, this is for the rabbi, he said, I will bring a special trumpeter that is one of the nationally known people working in bands. So I hope that that trumpeter is not going to blow so strong in his endeavor that the walls will fall down. And I'm sure, so you will have a few blessed hours when you are with us downstairs, because there is our what's the company's name? You know what that means, Mr. Gershon? Yes, you do. Come downstairs and listen. You know what I mean? All right. The beautiful thing about being Jewish is we have capacity to embrace everybody. That's the beauty of Judaism, which has much misunderstood in the world. Otherwise, the Arabs wouldn't have such an attitude. I have said, and I said here publicly, if the Arabs would lay down their arms, there's room for them with the Jewish people of Israel. If they stop, there won't be any bloodshed. We are but it's very important for me. I care for the Arabs also. They're human beings, and we should not hurt each other. That's the thing that bothers me more than anything, is that people don't like each other. You know, I had once a friend, he said, when you point with one finger, 3 fingers are pointing to you. In other words, if you have something wrong with your thing, 1, 2, 3 points at you. So we be very careful not to point fingers. So I believe that we have, in our generation, you know, I really wonder about the president. He has such a Herculean job. What is he going to do? You know, I don't like when they're crony, the Lord makes light and shine upon all of us. He said, if you will never use him for showing me Hashem, make sure there will be peace on earth, there'll be more congregated there, we will have good news, and this will be the day we will remember when great miracles took place. God bless America. God bless America. Amen. God bless you. I don't know. This picture has been seen from. It's worth seeing. My good friend from the servant. He took that picture, and my good friend was playing. He laughed. It looked like a painting. Take a look at it.
Yeah, they're beautiful. It's the family, maybe.
You're the only one that got it. You're a true star. You're just amazing. I am humbled to stand in your presence.
Stay here, stay here.
Wow.
He wants to take a movie, I don't know what he wants.
This is a great man that you're standing next to. And we happen to have the schus that he's Azayda. Unbelievable.
This is my wife, Dr. McLaren. How do you do? Nice to meet you.
Dr. McLaren.
And my mother-in-law.
Hello, I'm so glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you.
You gave me always such uplifting. I always knew when you came to see me, I was going to... Hey, Mr. Mayor. How are you, sir? Nice to see you. Yes.
Good?
That's good.
You look fantastic. Mother tells me
And how's it going? I think that's the...
You speak so well. You're so poised.
Hey, but we have to eat.
You don't have to. What about that in mincha?
Yes. So
Mincha for what?
Mincha for what?
That's a cute tie.
Huh?
That's a cute
You like that, huh? It's a Confederate tie.
I know, you guys are...
Which is timid to court.
She doesn't like to fit the
Yeah, but when she called, she told me just before.
Well, sit down, Kamala, sit down.
Okay, I'll go in your van. Why don't you just go with Ellen? I'll say something to you. Where's the rebel going to sit? His wife and the car seat. What?